Welcome and good evening, everyone. I pray everyone has had an amazing day. And I want to thank you for joining us this evening as we continue with our devotional this week, Don't Look Back. Um, as I was saying on yesterday, this particular devotional is really touching and really meant something because we so many times when we are seeking God for things, we continually look back and we continually think about the things we woulda, shoulda, coulda had, and all of these different types of things. And God is trying to get us to understand that once He moves us to the next level, that we should not be looking back as to what had happened in the past. Now, tonight's topic is looking back is a heart condition. And I know you're like, what? What do you mean it's a heart condition? Well, it is. It's the condition of your heart, as in what it says in Proverbs 23:7. And I'm actually put that up here as one of the scriptures, but it's a part of the lesson. And what it basically it says is, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So basically, it teaches us that as a man thinks in his heart, that's what he is, And so let us take a closer examination. We will be covering some additional scriptures as well. We'll also be covering Genesis 19:15 through 26, and that is the story of Lot and his wife. And we'll also cover briefly Luke 12:34. But we will get to that within the lesson. How I've done the lesson this evening is a little bit more so intertwined. So I'm not going to read the scriptures prior to. I'll read bits and pieces from it as we get to parts within the story. Let's see. Hi, Sister Pauline. How are you doing on this evening? So let us get right into this. So if we really look at Proverbs 23:7 a little bit closer, we could see that most of what we act out in our life finds its origins in here, in the mind, in our thoughts. So day after day, whatever we ponder on, whatever we meditate on, whatever we dwell on becomes reality sooner or later. Now, if you do not believe that, trust me when I tell you it happens. Like, there has been times and situations where I've dwelt on something and I have manifested situations in my head. And trust me, probably things that would never really come to pass, if you didn't move forward and whatever. Hi, Sister Marilyn. How are you? So things that you would just never really think about, but when you meditate and you really think it out, you done thought it all the way through and how it may happen, how it could happen, and then you're shocked when it comes to life, is because you've actually manifested it. Your thoughts have manifested it and brought it into existence. See, what we don't need to understand is that our thoughts are powerful and will eventually determine the future we'll experience. Have you heard the saying, following your heart? Well, there's so much truth wrapped up in that saying. Even when the Bible talks about, following our heart, is our treasure. And that's Luke 12:34. And I'm actually going to read that particular scripture. And it's going to be the King James Version. And actually, let me just put it up on the screen for you really quickly so you can just take a note of it. Luke 12:34. And it reads as such, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Basically, whatever you treasure in your heart, whatever you manifest, that is what is going to be. Also, if we look at, I'm going to read it in the New Living Translation version. It says, wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will be also. Our heart was made to follow the ultimate treasure, which is God Himself. But only Jesus could give us the heart to understand that. And without his understanding, we'll chase the riches of this world, which is completely of a lesser value. Yep, we do it all the time. We will just chase after it. Now, looking back and living in the past constantly is clearly an indication you believe your treasures are still buried there. Meaning you can't seem to move forward or you can't seem to get ahead because you're looking back because you think you left something. You think, the big house, the car, the job, the thing that you've walked away from or God has had moved you from, you feel that that was more valuable and you shouldn't have never left it. So you're constantly looking back. You're constantly saying, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. You're constantly saying, I should have never walked away, or I should have kept that, or I should have did all that I could to keep that. So basically, you still think that in the past, in the pain, in the hurt, and dwelling in that is where you need to be. That's where everything you need and you want and you desire is, in the back, the past, behind you. And that is definitely not the case. Now, we're talking about this particular woman in the Bible. Now, Genesis 19:15-26 tells the story of Lot and his wife. And I will not read the full scripture. I want you to definitely, I'm going to leave it up on there for a while because I want you to take note of it and I want you to read it later. But Lot's wife, her heart was so caught up in the treasures of the world that she could not see the grand future that God had planned out for her. And I know many of us have heard, everyone has heard of Sodom and Gomorrah and the destruction of fire and brimstone that rained down and ruined it. See, Lot's wife lived there along with her family. And though it was a place of much immoral, choices, disgraces, her heart was tied to it. Because of the prayers of Abraham, God would save Lot and his family from the devastation. God allowed them enough time to escape with instructions. Basically, it says, do not look back behind you or stay anywhere in the plain. And see, when he gives you instruction, when he gives you a way of escape, he lets you know how to move, how to maneuver, so therefore there's no excuse. So I'm going to read from you the 19th chapter of Genesis, and I am going to start at verse 18, and I am going to, I think I'm going to go to maybe 22. And it says, oh, my Lord, Lot begged, you have been so gracious to me and saved my life, and you have shown so much great kindness, but I cannot go to the mountains. Disaster would catch up to me there, and I would soon die. See, there is a small village nearby. Please let me go there instead. I don't see a small, you don't see how small it is. Then my life will be saved. All right, the angel said, I will grant your request. I will not destroy the little village, but hurry, escape to it. I cannot do nothing until you arrive there. Lot reached the village as the sun was rising over the horizon, and the Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky on Sodom and Gomorrah. He utterly destroyed them along with other cities and villages of the plain, wiping out all the people and every bit of vegetation. But Lot's wife looked back, and she was following behind him and turned into a pillar of salt. And see, when we've looked back on our life, I know when I look back on mine, I am so thankful that God has brought me out of many situations that would have resulted only in my utter destruction had I stayed there. And the moment, of having to leave people behind, possessions, relationships that we hold close and dear, it seems like it's a challenge. It seems like it's an utter burden. It's just like, it's so heartbreaking to have to do that. However, it is necessary. It is very, very necessary, because without it, those people, those situations, those things cannot go with us, cannot move with us, is not going to go with us to the next level, cannot help us grow. It is only there to cause us pain and hurt. When we put our trust in God, I know when I put my trust in Him, when I put my trust in the one who knows the best, the present pain that we experience will eventually turn into the greatest gain in our life. See, Lot's wife treasures were so buried in the city, she had to leave behind. She was not willing to trust God for her future. Basically, after the instructions to say not to look back, as they were leaving, she looked back and he turned her into a pillar of salt. The truth about looking back and constantly living in the past is what will drain every ounce of life from you. It's like, let us heed the warning and make sure our heart is following God. Because see, when I think about Lot's wife, I think about all the things that she literally gave up. She was willing to give up her family, her friends, and whatever. She was willing to give up her life itself, if she could have those things, if she could continually, be able to touch them and be able to live in the luxury of it all. Because, in her mindset, and I'm just, translating it into today's, scenario, what she's probably thinking is, why is it I have to lose everything because of these people? I ain't doing anything wrong. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Why can't he just wipe them out and leave my stuff alone? Why do I have to move? Why do I have to uproot my life? Why do I have to start over? And then, even though she went reluctantly. Because one, she had to follow her husband, who was obeying God. And he, was like, we're getting our stuff together. This is what we're doing. God, if you can take me over there, we'll go there and we'll make it there. And she's looking at him like, why do we got to do this? I want to stay here. I don't want to leave. I don't think we haven't done anything wrong. Why do we have to suffer? And sometimes it's those questions, it's those holding on to the material things, it's holding up to the things of the world that really gets our blessings blocked. Because we are His children. But there's certain times we question Him. And you remember back in the day, if you questioned your mama like that or your grandmama, you was in trouble, because they're going to look at you like, who are you talking to? And sometimes He looks at us a lot of the times like, who are you talking to? I have a plan for you. I need you to get your life together, your whole entire life together. But we're too busy trying to look back and trying to figure out what it is and how can we get back to that, and how can we keep it, and how can we bring it aboard. So when we look back, our heart is tied to that stuff. And again, as I was saying yesterday, you basically negate everything that God is doing for you. You negate the fresh start that He's given to you. You negate the grace and the mercy that He's extended to you when you could have been in detrimental trouble. He is giving you a brand new start, but you have to leave the old stuff alone. Yes, it's, you can't hang out with your homeboys and your homegirls. No, you can't go over that uncle's house or that auntie's house that you used to hang out with. It doesn't mean when you're leaving somebody behind, it doesn't always mean it's going to be their destruction. It just means that they can't go with you. And we can't bring them along. When God tells us to leave something, He has something greater. He is always going to restore us to what we had or better. He is not going to take stuff from us and not give it back to us. But we have to willingly trust him and move when he tells us to move and follow the instruction that he's given us. Because if he tells us not to look back, if he tells us, don't do this, if he tells you to raid a city and take everything out and leave nothing, that's what it means. You have to follow his directive. If he says that I need you to read your word 3 times a week, or I need you to be praying from, each day, or I need you to reach out and volunteer and work with those youth or work with those elderly or do whatever it is he tells you to do, he's telling it for you so that you can move forward in what you need to do. It means you can't stay in the situation where you were personally at. But you have to take these steps to move forward. So you can't look back. You can't say, I serve God, but then wondering what's back there. Don't look back. What I want you to do is ask the Holy Spirit to help you leave the past behind and to ask you to lead you, to an abundant life ahead. Basically, help me, Lord, not to be looking back and wondering what's going on. Allow me to live fully in your grace based on the provisions that you are going to provide, and I don't have to worry about that. Is it going to be painful letting people go and places go and situations go? Yes, it will. But it is all for your good and his glory. Because if you trust him, you move in him, and you allow him to do what only he can do, then you will get everything that you feel that is lost tenfold, hundredfold. However he decides that you're going to be blessed and restored back to where it was and then some. So stop looking back. Stop wondering and, waiting and trying to, figure things out. Stop looking back, because looking back is only detrimental to you. Because at the end of the day, God's will is going to be done. The work that he has for us is going to happen, and it's going to keep moving. Your blessing's still going to be there. He's still going to wait for you to get your stuff together, but it's not going to stop the overall mission and the overall plan to build the kingdom. So when God has provided you a fresh start and he has told you he wants you to do that, don't look back. Don't taint it with woulda, shoulda, coulda, or it was better back in the day, or we used to do it as such. Don't do that. Don't look back. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening for Don't Look Back. Looking back is a heart condition. If you are in the group, all content will be there. But if you're not a part of the group on Facebook, I'm going to need you to join. We are at YB Daily Devotionals. That's Y's and Yellow, V as in Victor, Daily Devotionals. If you have a prayer request or praise report, we would like for you to use the link that is attached to any of the lives, or go right ahead and place your request in with the in the comments, and we'll definitely take that extra prayer request. Myself and Minister Peterson are praying nightly and daily for you, and so definitely put those in. If you have any praise reports, the things what God has done for you, over the past day, it could be today, it could have been yesterday, it could have been any time. We definitely want to celebrate those milestones with you about God's goodness and his grace. And so what we also do, too short, also, we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday at 8 p.m. And we will be going deeper into why it's not great to look back. So, Sister Pauline, it wasn't too short. It was just right. Trust me. I promise. But we'll go into a little bit more detail on tomorrow, as tomorrow's lesson is a little bit more in depth, a little bit more into some of the things and the nuts and the bolt as of why it's not good to, to look back. So we'll be back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the same location. And so I want you guys to have a wonderfully blessed evening. Enjoy family and friends and get plenty of rest, and know that we love you. And we are always constantly keeping you in prayer. But we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We love you so much. Have a wonderfully blessed evening. Good night.